CQ RAYNET, CQ RAYNET. This is Golf 4, November Romeo Charlie, operated today by Greg, Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo, serving as net control for the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net. This net meets each Sunday afternoon at 1600 hours local time and is open to all amateur radio operators interested in emergency communications. The primary purpose of the net is to provide the opportunity for members to test equipment, exchange traffic, news, opinions and information. Additional information on the organisation can be found at www.raynet-uk.net. This is a directed net, which means all calls are to be made to the net control station unless you are instructed otherwise, and all RAYNET UK operators are invited and encouraged to check into the net. When you do check in, please announce your call sign slowly and phonetically, followed by your name and whether or not you wish to leave immediately after checking in. If you do, then please call in and out. Otherwise, if you want to leave after subsequent turns, then make it clear you want to check out at that time. After I've heard a few check-ins, I'll repeat if I've heard. If you're not acknowledged, then please do try again. And if you miss your turn for calling in, I will call for any strays at the end of the UK and international sections. So I'll now begin taking check-ins to the RAYNET UK weekly activity net, as usual in call sign number order, starting with stations with figure 8 in their call sign. Please call now. This is G4 and RC.
Golf 8 Echo Yankee G8 EEY. Name is Mike.
Yeah, Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform. Name is Bob. In and out. Good afternoon, Greg.
P4 NRC, good afternoon, Mike. Golf 8 Echo Yankee staying with me, and Bob, good afternoon to you. Golf 8 Sierra Delta Uniform, who's in and out. Any other 8s, please? G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, nothing heard, so let's try for the 7s. Stations figure 7 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over.
G78, Golf 7 November, Echo Hotel. Good afternoon, Greg.
Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Good afternoon, Greg. Yeah, coming through Fusion this week.
G4 NRC, good afternoon, Graham. Golf 7 November Echo Hotel, and Dave at Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Any other 7s, please? G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, nothing heard, so it's the 6s. Stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, second call, any stations figure 6 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, nothing heard, so let's go to stations figure 5 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, since there aren't many 5s, we'll go straight to the 4s. Stations figure 4 in their call sign, please go ahead. G4 NRC, over.
4 KIL Philip South Sussex.
G4 NRC, good afternoon, Philip. Golf 4 Kilo India Lima. Thank you for calling in. Any other 4s, please? G4 NRC, over. G4 NRC, then it's the 3s. Stations figure 3 in their call sign, please call in. G4 NRC, over.
G4NRC. Afternoon, Greg. G3VH, Golf Victor, Echo Hotel, Chris, Winchester, North West Hampshire Group. In and out this afternoon, as usual, Phil. Great. G3VH.
Golf 3, Victor Echo Hotel. Good afternoon, Chris. And copied you in and out from Winchester. Good audio. Must have been something a little wrong somewhere on the bridge, though, because the Brandmeister side showed 3% packet loss, but I didn't think it was that bad. It was quite readable. Any other threes, please? G4 and RC, over. For an RC, nothing heard. So twos, stations figure 2 in that call sign, especially you intermediate twos. Please call now. G4 and RC, over.
2 Echo 0 Charlie Mike Sierra, calling from Midway.
To Echo 0 Charlie Mike Sierra. Good afternoon, Colin. Staying with me. Any other twos, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC, nothing heard. So stations figure 1 in that call time. Please go ahead. G4 and RC, over.
M1 CYT, Steve from Mid Hearts Raynet.
Mike 1, Charlie Yankee Tango. Good afternoon, Steve. Looks like you're coming in via Fusion, and that was fine. Any other ones, please? G4 and RC, over. G4 and RC. Then let's have Mike 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier. Please call now. This is G4 and RC, over.
Zero Whiskey X-Ray Golf, Shirley in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg.
Mike 0, India Tango Mike, Andy with Shirley, in Cornwall, in and out. Thank you, Greg.
Is G4 and RC. Thank you, Shirley, Mike 0 Whiskey X-Ray Golf, and Andy Mike 0 India Tango Mike for calling in. Both noted as in and out, but thanks for checking in. There's moments there where I'm thinking the whole system's broken again when it goes quiet. Any other Mike 0 stations, please, of any regional secondary identifier, please call now. G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, Mike, India 0, Mike, Sierra Oscar, Philip in Northern Ireland.
Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar. Good afternoon, Philip. And checked you in. Let's go on to the Golf 0 stations. Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please. G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, Golf Whiskey 0, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Name is Andy, RAYNET UK. Good afternoon, Greg. No traffic today, so in and out, please. Over.
Golf Whiskey 0, Juliet Lima X-Ray. Good afternoon, Andy, and copied you in and out. Thanks for checking in. Any other Golf 0 stations of any regional secondary identifier, please? G4 and RC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard. So any other United Kingdom stations, any other UK stations who wish to check into the RAYNET UK activity period and missed their turn, please call now. This is G4NRC, over. G4NRC, and then it's any international liaison stations, any of our overseas friends, usually Nord-Sam Band of Norway, Ireland in Ireland, and so on. Any international liaisons, please. G4NRC, over. G4NRC, nothing heard from any internationals. Lima Alpha 6 India Mike chirped up earlier, but I'm guessing he's just going to listen today. But any strays then, any station, any nationality who wishes to check into the RAYNET UK activity period, please call now. G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, Lima Alpha 6 India Mike, name Hans, in and out.
Golf 4 November Romeo Charlie. Good afternoon, Hans, Lima Alpha 6 India Mike. Copy to you in and out. Sorry if I shamed you into checking in properly then, but after the equipment issues before, I thought we'd better make sure you're there. Okay, thank you. That's a good set of check-ins. Let's progress. The net is being live streamed, I hope, by Graham, G7NEH, to YouTube today. Live stream and recording are available by searching Golf 7 November Echo Hotel on YouTube. And once again, sadly, no video from me today, so that may or may not improve the viewing figures. After Storm Anthony had the southwest of the UK last week, causing some issues, but nothing too significant if I recall, Storm Hans in Norway continues to cause difficulties after a dam collapsed and several rivers burst their banks, with water levels continuing to rise in some areas. On Friday, it was reported that 2,000 people were evacuated due to that storm, which claimed 3 lives across northern Europe from the reports I found. Meanwhile, not to be left out, northeast Italy was also affected by severe weather with hailstorms and flooding, all distinctly unseasonal. All those events have now gone into history, though, and the news media are following the latest incidents, which is the wildfires in Hawaii. Those are being responded to by the Amateur Radio Emergency Services Group, that's the ARES groups in Hawaii, but with some learning already about how resilient our own systems need to be. Hawaii has a wide range of DMR, Arden and WindLink nodes, as well as analog repeaters, but many are too dependent on the internet, so have failed over to being ordinary digipeaters or repeaters. The Arden link is still running, but it needs to have people feeding it with information. So, on a more local level, quiz question, if anybody chooses to answer it from the audience today, is: are you ready for a talk-through or digipeater failure during an event? And any other news and observations from as you've gone through the last week? Starting with you, Mike. Golf 8, Echo Echo Yankee, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC from G8EY. Oh, goody. That's a nice question. Well, the weather here, 23 centigrade, 1012 millibars, 48% relative humidity, 65% cloud cover, and 15 miles an hour winds from 235 degrees. Well, we did have some practice last year with the heat alert. We had quite a few wildfires, certainly in the Norfolk area. It did keep people busy. I'm afraid we would probably rely on our crossband repeater at Wyndham Police Headquarters. So provided that doesn't burn to the ground, that's got resilient power, so we have a means of doing at least analog repeat. And we've got people obviously with analog repeat on board vehicles, so we could always set something up. But yeah, that all depends on how and when and where and whether you've got a hurricane blowing. From G8DEY.
try again. Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee G4 and RC. Okay, yes, Mike, I think some of the sites that have been affected in Hawaii had resilient power, but where the issues have crept up is that fibre optic cabling isn't as fire resistant as people thought it might be. So there are DMR repeaters up, for example, which have lost their connection back to DMR Mark, the network they're normally associated with. So they're still perfectly capable of functioning independently, but they've lost their tie back to the rest of the island or anything else via the DMR links. So it's all layered. If you've got a crossband repeater quarters, you'd like to think that's got all the comms you need with diverse routes, but we shall watch what unfolds in Hawaii and see what happens. Right next to Graham, G7 and the H, with the comment that Ian found watching the video quite useful last week for checking his audio, and hopefully others do the same. G7 and the H, G4 and RC, over.
And RC, G7 and the H. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon to all on the net, and I'm pleased that Ian found the net useful last week for monitoring his audio. That's good to know. Last week's viewing figures, a total of 33 views and 6 likes. And interestingly enough, the week before, I had a total of 50 views and 8 likes. So there we go. Not a lot else to add from this end. So I'll pass it back to you. G4 and RC, G7 and the H.
G7 and the H, G4 and RC. Okay, interesting. What did I say week before last that might have been so interesting? I can't think what it must have been. We don't actually put anything on the videos that says what's discussed, which might be a good thing, of course. So I'm just curious why we get people playing catch-up like that. Okay, Graham, interesting figures. Next to Dave, who's not our only Fusion user, Trevor's been keeping track of Fusion through the week, and the system does seem to have stayed up and stable. That's probably jinxed it. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC, over.
Alpha Victor Oscar. Yeah, good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, everyone on the net. Yeah, I just picked up the little Yaesu handheld first instead of the Linko, and I thought I'd give it a try through the repeater, and it came up on the dashboard, so I left it on and carried on using it. Even though in my little office shack here, when nobody's transmitting, there is some annoying feedback off something, and I haven't found it yet. It causes squelch to kick in, so I'm going to have to find that and sort something out in the near future. But it's always nice to see the Fusion link back on. It's always useful, sorry. It's like you say with crossband repeaters, everything has its use in its place, and I've only ever used it the once on the RAYNET event when I've been out with Graham set up, and you know, it did have its, it definitely had its uses on the Chester marathon, half marathon. So if it goes down, I will hopefully, as others have said, there's other people with analog sets that can do the crossband repeater. I think my 400 does. So you know, hopefully in quite a short time it could be re-established. Back to you, Greg. Mike 7 Alpha Oscar.
7AVO, G4NRC. How copy, Dave? Over.
G4NRC. Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. G4NRC, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Yes, got you that time, Greg, but everything seems to be cutting in and out looking at the dashboard. Back to you, M7AVO.
Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4NRC. Okay, well, I think my problem might have been local. HF doing JS8 call versus the router, just one for a change and kicked the router out. So took me off the air, but I did see some other stations blipping up. I'm not sure quite why. Right, thought about your Yaesu handheld. I saw something, but you never think of handhelds having to do this. Firmware updates. So if you've got any of the relatively more recent Yaesu handhelds, might be worth checking to see if there's a firmware to be installed in them to bring them up to the latest standard. Other than that, I'll pick up whatever Alpha missed after feedback in your office on the next over. Still with DMR sets, G4KAL. I've had a look at everything, and it looks like there's another Radio Oddity RD40 coming along. RD something 40 anyway, which is an even better functioned radio for DMR and analog use, which Trevor G4KUJ found. G4KAL, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, G4KL. Yeah, thanks very much. And yeah, that sounded interesting. I think I made a note of that last week, along with the audio bridge that was mentioned. I haven't sort of researched that yet, but interested to do that. Okay, what are the things to comment? You asked a question about talk throughs going down. I think, on our normal events, if a talk through went down, and we have had such a thing happen, it just usually would mean that we have to start relaying messages via outstations instead of having outstations getting direct into the main one. At the moment, we don't have a permanent talk through sighted. We did have for a while. It's not there at the moment. It might get sighted again. It would. I don't know what to say really. I think it would be in the circumstance. We'd have to be aware. I think what we're saying is be aware if we were setting ourselves up and relying upon it, that it could cause difficulties. So that's a fair point. I guess my other comments would be I did try and research a little bit some of the questions to do with the changes on the proposed changes in licensing conditions. I think I got wind of what it was. It is presumably that's why clarification's been asked for, because it does seem a bit confusing. I think, as far as I could mean, there's just the one reference. In fact, I think there's literally only one reference to user service in the proposal, and it has to do with changing where the reference would come in the license. And I think the implication was whether that might mean we'd have removed our opportunity to pass messages on behalf of. We could let them use it, but we couldn't pass messages on behalf of. So perhaps you can just clarify that, and also if there's any indication as to when the clarification document mentioned might come through. G4NRC, G4KL.
G4KAL, G4NRC returning. Okay, yes, outstation relaying. So earlier on today, I was doing an IARU exercise, which had some UK involvement using JS8 call, which allows you to relay messages or lets you do a store and forward kind of approach. And from previous things, it's everybody needs to be told what to do to get a message from A to B. On previous events where we've tried relaying everything automatically through outstations, to get JS8 messages through, it tended to fall apart as people get confused with too many things at one time. Store and forward worked better, and the same kind of applies for voice. If you get a station going down, how long do they wait before they try some alternative to get through, and do we keep calls short enough to make sure that the alternatives don't jam up the net as everybody goes, what just happened? Glad you find this confusion the same. I was intending to finish off the document today, to be fair, But when people started pinging me from a few countries with, is there a JS8 call exercise today, it got in the way of finishing off the documents to go out to COM, and then to everybody else, hopefully, as a special posting with, here's the issues found. We think they're issues. If you think they're issues too, then please comment back to Ofcom, because there are some gotchas in there, like not enough user services and provision for exercises as well, I think. So, with that, hopefully that's answered it and the reason for the distraction. Next to Colin, to Echo Zero, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, from 20 CMS. Yeah, okay. What happens if repeaters fall over? Most of our members do have mobile units that are capable of crossband, and some of them have sort of spare radios in boxes of the same thing. Whether they can remember the magical sequence of buttons to put it into crossband mode is something else completely. But yeah, we mostly use a UHF in-band repeater or a PMR UHF repeater is our latest acquisition, which having used on the last event seems to work quite well, obviously depending where it's sited. Apart from that, a couple of other things that are on our horizon. Kent Fire and Rescue are interested in demonstration of Starlink, so that's actually been planned for about the 25th of this month, I think it is. So we're going to do that with Kent Fire and Rescue and some of their interested parties. It's taken a while to put that one together, but I think that's going to go down quite well, because they're looking at changing their satellite internet provider and looking for something a little bit more resilient, I think. The other thing is that the Camp Resilience team are doing a tabletop exercise to do with flooding sometime in October. And they've actually asked us to do a drone survey of a particular stream that runs down from basically the Channel Tunnel site down towards Folkestone Harbour. Part of that was possibly having a live streaming feed into the exercise centre on the day, but that's definitely going to be a bit weather dependent, so we're going to prepare some videos and photographic evidence beforehand that we can use instead, just in case. And obviously the government's just changed all their or released some of their information on some of their major risk assessments, especially around attacks on major power generation sites. So we've actually been asked if we'd like to volunteer to assist Kent Police with an exercise in October to do with a marauding terrorist attack, which I've put my name down for. That sounds like fun. G4 and RC 2E0 CMS.
So Echo Zero, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC. Okay, right, all copied. I'm having to do my own logging today, so it's taking a bit longer to type. One observation, I'm glad you gave me the prompt. I believe I've seen it on YouTube, that's the latest, isn't it? There's some proposed changes to how the CAA are going to regulate drones, which might be worth you looking at, but something more significant, given where you are being asked to potentially do some overflights of, is that there's been a change in some security regulations by the government, making it an offence to overfly certain prescribed areas and even prescribed vehicles if you choose to follow convoys of certain things, I imagine. So it'd be worth you having a look at changes that are coming around on the drone laws, just because it looked very wide-ranging, and how did anybody know? It seems that the security regulation changes have not been done by or run through the CAA. They are separate. So prompt me on the next over, and I might have jogged my memory for the YouTube channel I saw it on. Next then to Steve. Mike 1, Charlie Yankee Tango, G4 and RC over.
M1 at CYT. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, not much to report here. As you said about am I ready? Well, yes and no. I've got a few handhelds that are charged, but they're only analog, no digital, that are on charge all the time. I need to get myself some extra batteries and also maybe some solar panel chargers ready for when we're out, so we can charge the batteries and that as well. As you say, for if things do go down, any local repeaters, not too sure whether they've got battery backup or not, but that's about it from me. So I'm going to say goodbye on this one because my dinner's just about to be served up, but I will be listening. This is M1 at CYT in a group.
Mike 1, Charlie Yankee Tango, G4 and RC. Yeah, quite a good observation. We hoped, thought, suggested some of our local repeaters might benefit from battery backup, and I don't think many of them actually do. So, yeah, what infrastructure can you rely on? And it comes back to almost what was said earlier on by Philip. It would be station-to-station relaying, which does require leaving decent pauses between overs, so stations who need a relay can chip in, so you have to change your style of operation. Okay, you commented about solar panel chargers. There seems to be another shortage of things going around. A few weeks ago, there was a handy little unit that would let you offset your grid supplies with a solar panel and batteries, little microinverter. I thought I'd get one eventually. When I went to look at it, they were no stock, and I'm on the list waiting to be told when they'll be back in stock, and this is probably about 6 weeks on. So I think people might be preparing for winter already on the just in case. Right, last one on this round is Philip. Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar. I'm wondering how Storm Anthony treated the island from G4 and RC over.
G4 NRC, MI0 MSO. Good afternoon, and good afternoon to everybody else on the net. Yeah, are we ready? I would say yes. No permanently sighted repeaters. So, sorry, there might be one talk through that's only switched on and off as and when required. If there was an outage, I'm not sure how that would be switched on because it's done by a Wi-Fi switch. Normally when we sight a repeater, crossband or talk through, we would have battery backup as long as the battery's fully charged. There will be no issues if the mains failed, which happened recently on an event. And apart from that, not much else to report, only that I'm using my hotspot this week, which I haven't used in a long time. Glad to see it's still working. I done a wee bit of configuration to it for the messaging service that Guy was talking about recently, so I'm just presently waiting on a pager to appear, and then we'll get it fully tested out. But that's all from here at the minute. Greg, over.
I'll see to Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar. Okay, Philip. Well, you mentioned pages at just the right time because Guy chipped in, so I'll see if Guy wants to join the net to be the new tail end station. I've looked at the instructions for how to program up the Pi Star, just haven't got around to it yet. So it's another one on the must-dos. Then he can batter me with test pages. Vehicle-borne TTs, yeah, we did have one where somebody did not remember to start their engine often enough. So the TT still dropped off the air and had to be worked around because they didn't have a boost charger to jump the car and get things going again. So, but that is all part of the learning experience. Right, let's see, without victimising him specifically, is there anybody else waiting to join the RAYNET-UK activity period before we do the second round? G4 and RC, over.
Yes, Mike Zero, Golf Uniform Yankee, late to the party, but I'll have a quick round, please.
Mike Zero, Golf Uniform Yankee, acknowledged. Do you want to give us an update on where you're up to with any changes on paging or otherwise, Guy? G4 and RC, over.
Yeah, G4 and LCM0, GUI. Good afternoon, Greg. Good afternoon, all. Yep, sorry, late to the party. Only literally just switched the radio on a few seconds ago. Been out in the garden, getting bitten by chicken runs. Lost the top of my finger at the moment. Anyway, yes, so paging is now done on the RAYNET server, released first draft. There is some documentation on help.m0gy.com, which will guide you through setting up your hotspot to join the paging party. I've tried to make it as simple as possible. So it is a one-line command to do all the setting up. Then you just need to edit the configuration file to taste, and then it will join the paging. You can also join DAPnet page as well, so you can listen to both paging servers. There only seems to be two, me and them. And it's ready to go. You'll find at the top of the RAYNET website, raynetn0gy.com, a button for messaging. Click that and it will show you messages you've received as well as those that you have sent. And there is also a dialog box to send messages. Enter in the call sign of the person you want to send the message to, or the RIC, but easy, just do the call sign. The group is your RAYNET groups that you want to try and hit the hotspot of. So just bear in mind, if you don't know where the member is or he's outside of your regular local group, then you'll also do national, and then it will hit all hotspots that are registered with the RAYNET messaging. But ideally, if you are messaging somebody in your same group, then pick the group or the zone appropriate, and then it'll just target those hotspots to send the message to, and then of course the message you want to send. I have plans to have group controllers being able to send out more generic messages such as alert and so forth, and you will then be able to get your pager to subscribe to those group call messages, and we'll have groups for local groups, but also the same group code for national and so forth. So if you are travelling around and you have your pager and there's a group notification, then you would also receive those for that local region. I haven't quite figured that out yet, so that's still up in the air, and if anyone has better ideas, then I'm all open. But yes, please, if you have pager or don't have pager, you can still send messages and receive messages. They'll just come through onto the RAYNET website, DMR website. But obviously, when you do get a pager, it'll come to your pager as well. And that's about it for me. So I'm still listening, but I will hand it back to G4NRC. This is Mike Zero, Golf Uniform Yankee.
M0JSA is tail end as well.
0JSA, do you want to take it on, and then I can sum up what I need to ask Guy, and then we'll do the second round. M0JSA, G4NRC.
Yes, thank you for that, Greg. So I'm late on parade. I came in as you were talking about JSA call. Nipped out to the garden centre. The wife decided to come with me, so that took a lot longer than one would normally expect. But never mind. I guess you're talking about how we prepared with the repeaters still down. I think that was the gist of what they were saying. I'll probably answer not straight away. We have the equipment, but we would have to set it up. It's not permanently set up. We have PMR, amateur, analog repeaters, and a DMR repeater as well, actually, both. So we have the equipment, but it's not permanently set up. So yeah, it's sort of ready, but not quite. Back to you, Greg.
Mike 0 Juliet Sierra Alpha G4NRC. Of course, if something fails, you know it's going to be the worst time. Right, now before I fly up to the top of the list, just need to do a bit sorry for Guy, because a question did crop up while I was looking at new licensing, etc. In some ways, putting paging transmitters up looked really easy because the license will allow single frequency gateways, etc. So that's a win. But then I was thinking about coordination, and when you log your paging transmitter with DAPnet, they tell you what time slots you can transmit on. So that, presuming deep in Germany, they try and mitigate if there's lots of people close together. They don't have every paging transmitter coming on at once. So while I haven't dug into it, Guy, which is my bad, just soothe my mind about how we won't get a lot of RAYNET transmitters all thinking they can transmit 100% of the time. Would probably be useful. Right, back to the top, because it was going to be a shorter net today. Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, back to you, Mike. G4 and RC, over.
G4NRC from G8 EEY. Yes, just been having a quick look at Guy's documentation. I couldn't find the bit he was talking about for paging, but I haven't looked too closely. But I've looked at the how it will appear on the website. Yeah. When it comes to the repeater at Wyndham, we access that by RF or phone backup. So it's always a good plan to have two ways, at least two ways, of getting control of your, if it's a remote repeater, from G8 EEY.
Golf 8 Echo Echo Yankee, G4 and RC. Yep. Resilience is good. I don't want to do quite the American thing of 2 is 1, 1 is none, but you get the idea. Of course, that's the other sideline, that some of our ability to control depends on having power and what are all the dependencies. Okay, thanks for that, Mike. 732, talk to you next week. Next to Graham, G7 and the H, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and RC, G7 and the H. Okay, not a lot to add at the moment. Total views this week have been 13, 7 live views at the moment, and 3 likes. So there we go. So with that, thanks for doing the night, Greg, and I'll no doubt catch you in the week sometime. G4 and RC, G7 and the H.
G7 and the H, G4 and RC. Yeah, we probably need to look back at G4HUF's emails while we're at it, given that one I had to respond to from one of his members earlier on in the week, because that isn't actually closed off yet as an issue, so I just need to keep an eye on that. Right, next to Dave, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar. Yeah, what is it going to have this end, Greg? Just thanks for taking the net, and hopefully we'll speak to you next weekend. Back to you, Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar.
Mike 7 Alpha Victor Oscar, G4 and RC. Yeah, no problems, 7-3 Dave. Actually, shouldn't be quite glad that the video's not working this week, because all this talk of charging batteries and supplies has made me think that somewhere in this heap of stuff to the left of me on the desk used to be a Yaesu battery charger, Because at the moment I'm damned if I can find it. So I've got to try and move a heap of stuff without causing an avalanche. So when I do, you might see some APRS popping up off the Yaesu handheld. Right, next for a final two, Philip. Golf 4 Kilo India Lima, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, G4 KIL. Thanks, Craig. Yeah, don't think of much to add. Hope to be on the HFNet tomorrow night. Again, I'll have to leave at 25 past. And again, I'll try and mention that when I log into it. And hopefully there'll be somebody else, Flip Wells from South Sussex will be coming up as well. He's recently joined us and indicated interest in that. Now, he has been involved, I think, during the couple of months I wasn't, so you probably recognise him there. Right, very good. So 73s. Hopefully speak to you all next week. G4 NRC, G4 KL.
G4 KIL, G4 NRC. Oops, yes, I've got it. Okay, yeah, look forward to an additional member joining the HF tomorrow. Of course, that's another thing I've forgotten I've got to do to put the reminder out for that. Was interesting doing the JS8 call exercise today by trying not to put a reminder out to see who showed up. Sort of a learning experience. Okay, so thanks, Philip. Talk to you hopefully tomorrow if you get back. Next, it's Colin, 2 Echo Zero, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC, over.
Yep, 2E0 CMS. Yeah, okay, just coming back on the drone survey. Yeah, the sites that we're basically starting and finishing at would say it would be just a little bit south of the Channel Tunnel terminal, which is basically an no-fly zone. So we wouldn't actually be in it, but we would contact the people down there and just give them a polite notice to let them know that we're going to be flying near it anyway on a particular date. And at the other end, literally down at Folkestone, where they've got the flight restriction zones over the channel for the Home Office drone searching. Part of that does extend inland slightly. So we'll also contact the relevant authorities for that one and let them know, and then download the necessary permissions, if we get it, to into the drones to allow us to fly. But I have been monitoring the upcoming consultation on the changes in the drone laws. I do get the emails directly from the CAA, also a member of the UAV Hub, and monitor various YouTube channels, including Geek Spanner and Ian in London and a few others that do tend to look into these and discuss them quite well as well. So pretty well up to speed on what the changes are. Shouldn't affect me too much. I'll do all the necessary flight plans, permissions, risk assessments, and all the rest of it anyway. G4 NRC 2E0 CMS.
Echo Zero, Charlie Mike Sierra, G4 and RC. Yeah, it was Geek Spanner. I saw this video on about a change to security laws, making life interesting. Let's call it difficult. I think the challenge was that, we're quite used to the idea that there's restricted flight zones and there's quite a few places you can't fly within a couple of miles of less than a certain height. But this seemed awfully mobile and awfully open to challenge and judgment. I think the law had been made, but it hadn't been put into place yet. But I've just looked on the Geek Spanner list of videos and couldn't see the one I was looking for, but it was only within the last few days I spotted it. However, if you're on it and aware we're looking at the same sites, it's just not a case of don't get caught, it's don't do the wrong thing. Okay, thanks Colin. Good luck with everything. I've noted down some of the stuff you've got later on in the year. Well, look forward to hearing the results of that. 3 stations to go, so it's Philip, Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar next, G4 and RC, over.
G4 NRC, MI0 MSO. Yeah, so only thing to add is maybe the consultation, and we're going to see the document coming out. One thing that we did notice on the consultation, and it was through the Spectrum Forum too, was Category 1 and 2 responders are mentioned, but there's no mention of boundary groups. So we'll be good to get some guidance on how we respond to that, because over 90% of our activity would be events that involve the voluntary ambulance services and the like. So hopefully Ofcom just forgot to put that in, but it was good. Be good to have a good response to that. And back to you, Greg, from MI0 MSO.
Mike India 0, Mike Sierra Oscar, G4NRC. Yeah, and I'm sort of looking and reading and rereading, given what you and I both heard in the Spectrum Forum about Ofcom's approach to this. It's just a case of, is there really nothing stopping us, or are they thinking they've given us permission by some other route before we make massive waves about it? But waves will have to be made. Sadly, I have seen an email from one RAYNET group which has done pretty much everybody there knows already responded and thought it was a wonderful idea. Can only assume they don't run talk-throughs and things like that then, or have user service events. So yes, we shall get something out, and likewise, I don't think Murray's put anything out for the RSGB generically yet. But for those responding to the consultation, when we put the guidance out, we say again, do not cut and paste what we send. It has to be given a local spin. So as you've heard Philip say that 90% of his events are for VAs. Nationally, 75% of events are apparently for voluntary organisations, which would therefore be possibly excluded by the new licence conditions. So we do need that local feedback to make everyone as unique as possible and get Ofcom to listen. But cut and paste responses will just be treated as one big response. Okay, thanks Philip, thanks for coming on today. Next it's Guy, Mike 0 Golf Uniform Yankee, G4NRC, over.
G4NRC, M0 GUY. Yeah, just to wrap up, I heard Mike saying he couldn't find the documentation, so it is help.n0guy.com, and then if you look for section 2.4.6, paging setup. You can also, in the quick search at the top, on the left-hand side, you can just type paging, but there'll be a few bits that come up, and some of them are about how the networking handles. There is an API to allow you to programmatically send pages, and I will be expanding that API to allow you to both send and receive and do some various other things, but for the moment it's not there. But anyway, yes, if you want to set up your hotspot, then it is 2.4.6. The only thing to to realise at the moment is this only easily works with the Pi-Star. If you have an open spot, while my system will absolutely work with OpenSpot, it does require you to use a different machine, so you need an intermediary. That could be a Pi0 or something else, but you need something else to run the proxy, because you can't mess around with what's inside the OpenSpot readily. So it doesn't quite gel so easily in OpenSpot as it does with the Pi-Stars. And with that, thank you very much for running the net, Greg. Sorry for my tardiness, and I hope to speak to you all later. So this is Mike 0 Golf Uniform Yankee, handing back to G4 NRC. Have a good week, guys.
Uniform Yankee, G4NRC returning. Okay, so you answered the question but didn't answer the question. Interference coordination at the moment, because everything's on a Pi-Star, it's only a very short range, very low power. It won't cause any issues. Suppose that's sending my head towards how do we massacre the Raspberry Pi code that's available through DAPnet for running pager tones into more powerful transmitters, which conceivably under the license, new license, if it comes in, we can do up to 5 watts ERP. Obviously, and statutory, don't try this at home reminder, please don't put your Pi Star into an amplifier. It's not pretty and it will go everywhere, literally in frequency, not in distance. So, yeah, I can see where we've got the thing at the moment, but I'm thinking about something wider area ultimately. Okay, thanks, guys. No problems about having to fight chickens to get to us. Just glad you attended. I'm sorry, Alan. Mike 0 Juliet Sierra Alpha. That does make you the last on the list today. M0 JSA G4 and RC over.
Break for M0 GUI again after Alan.
After you, I didn't get a chance to say it before. Yes, I won't be on next week. I'll be missing, on duty next Sunday. The East Side group is doing participating in a 999 Services Day at Carlton Transport Museum near Lowestoft. They draw all the different services in, and they set up stalls and demonstrate to the public whatever, fire, police, ambulance, the normal lot, and then people like Salsa, ECAT, which is voluntary search people, the lifeboat will be there probably, and all them sorts of people, St John's, Red Cross, they all turn up. It's a very good day. If you're Suffolk Way and Norfolk Suffolk border, anyone wants to join in there, more than welcome to come and say hello. It is a very good day, and you get the odd highlight like the police were playing with their sirens all day and then couldn't start the car because they hadn't been running it, and the battery's gone flat with all the lights on, and they had to push it into the arena for the finale, which was quite funny. But never mind, it happens to all of us. So that'll be next Sunday, so I'll be a fortnight back on. And nothing else much to say. I haven't done a lot of radio this week again. Keep trying. Been cleaning up our control unit, and that's about it. So best 73 to you all, and I'll catch you all further down the airways. Back to you, Group G4 NRC, and 0 JSA. Peace out.
SA G4 and RC. Okay. Rule 1 I'll remember is don't laugh. Right, okay, thanks for that, and we'll go back to Guy for his third turn. Mike 0 Golf Uniform Yankee, G4 and RC, over.
G4 and LC M0 GUI. Thank you, Greg. Yeah, just to finish up about the high power paging, I can say my repeater here is running paging now at high power, at full legal for the repeater. So that's Golf Papa 7 GP is running full legal for paging. What I can say is it doesn't seem to cause any issues with multiple systems broadcasting the paging at the same time on the same frequency. The pager seems to be able to handle that. I've got 3 hotspots plus my repeater all paging out on the same frequency, and my little pager here is quite happy with that. So I think what we can do is coordinated paging frequency, which DAPnet have already done, and make sure to page. The only slight wrinkle in the mix is that those of us that are using a Pi Star to do as a proper repeater, we've got that separation between the radio and the Pi Star, so we're doing proper nice radio filtering. But what that has a downside of is that you need some way of telling the radio to switch frequencies when you're doing pager transmission as opposed to regular repeater transmission. But on the upside, the Pi Star will happily queue pager messages while the repeater is busy repeating voice traffic. And once the voice traffic idles out, the pager will switch over and then splat out all the paging messages that have been queued up. So it does seem to have that already built into the Pi Star for it. Anyway, right, that's enough. I will let you edit because I'm not supposed to have 3. So thank you very much, Greg. Speak to you soon. From M0 GUI.
Bravo Golf Uniform Yankee G4NRC. No problem. Yes, I'd forgotten Pi-Star could run full power repeaters like that. Right, we shall watch what goes on with interest. Okay, thanks, Guy. And we have just tipped past the hour since I've been doing RFE stuff since at least midday today. We shall thank everybody for taking time out to participate this afternoon. Some good exchanges. Please be careful. Have a good week. Remember, there's a yellow weather warning for rain in some parts of the country tomorrow. And until next Sunday afternoon at 1600 local time, I'll close the RAYNET-UK weekly activity net and return the talk groups 23531 on Pheonix and Brandmeister and 50233531 on RAYNET-UK to an open net rather than a distracted one. 730, this is Golf 4 November Radio. To my normal call sign of Golf 0 Delta Uniform Bravo. Bye-bye.